Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I've always wanted to do another row calling video since I did the one many years ago. Must be about 6 years ago now I did it, or maybe more. But I've always wanted to do a kind of part 2 to that video about more the kind of tips and techniques that I've learned over the years to help better get a row book to come in closer. You might have seen the video I've done before where I talked more about the actual sounds that you can make. On that video I'm using the Nordic Row call, and then I talk about all the different kind of sounds you make to call them in. So if you want to watch that video, I'll put a link in the description, and that will give you a good idea of what this video kind of continues on to. But if I'll just go back onto that. So basically in that video I do there's 4 sounds that you can make from the Nordic Row call. There's from the agony sound, the aggression sound, the contact sound for the doe, and the fawn as well. So yeah, I would watch that one as well. So I'm not going to talk too much about that one because I feel like I'm repeating myself, because those sounds I made then are still the same ones I make today. So I would really watch that one. But what I want to talk about in this one is different things that you can do to help better get that row book in. So like I say, the main call I use is the Nordic Row. They've also brought out another call called the Nordik Row Pro call, and this is brand new to me. I've only had this for a couple of weeks. I've just been testing it. But one thing I've learned over the years is to have more than one call out with you. I know with that video I did years ago, I just did the Nordic Row, but I've learned over the years that it's best to have more than one call out with you. So, and the reason for that is sometimes you might be doing the right sounds, but for whatever reason that row book doesn't want to come in. And sometimes I found if you just change with another call, it just might entice them to come in. So I would do that. I would one call that I have with me as well is the kind of famous Butterlow, and that one I have in my pocket. And sometimes if this is my go-to one, this is what I use for 85%. But if I feel like nothing's really happened, I'll change over to another call, and then to see if this might change your kind of way of trying to get the book to come in. Doesn't always work, but it's nice to just have another option on how you're going to get that deer to come in. So this is the Nordik Pro Roe. This is, like I say, it's very new to me. It kind of reminds me of like the fox calls where you just literally bite down onto it. The Nordic Row has like the rubber band so you can move it along for doing the different sounds. But this one, you bite down on the different ridges to get the different sounds. So, and then you can bite harder to get like the fawn contact sounds. It's quite simple to do. So yeah, I'm really liking this one, but like I say, I've only just got this, so I'm looking forward to have a play with it properly in the rut. So yeah, no, it's quite a cool call. But yeah, the Nordic Row has been my go-to call for years and years. I absolutely love it. I've lost count of how many rows called in for me. But yeah, no, I absolutely love it. I would recommend to get one. Like I say, with having many calls, it's always good to keep changing and just trying new ones in your area to get in those books, because sometimes you might get used to the same sound. If you keep trying, they'll get used to it. So it's good to try different sounds. But yeah, like I say, I absolutely love the Nordic Row one. But one thing I did a few years ago was make my own call, and I made it out of a row antler. I just kind of looked at how it all worked, and then I made my own just for a bit of fun. And first time I ever took it out, I was I was calling for 20 minutes and nothing happened, absolutely nothing happened. But then literally right next to me, a beautiful rowboat came running out and stood out right in front of me. I was out with a client at the time, and he shot the buck. You'll see the photo of that buck now. So that was quite an awesome feeling to have one come into one that I'd made myself. And people have asked me about how to make it, but I haven't given that away yet. But I might try and make another one sometime in the future. But yeah, like I say, get yourself a few calls, and you might try one and you enjoy that one more than the other one. I know a lot of people love the Buffalo. It is a famous one, and it's very easy to use, and it can be quite a good call to have with you for situations where you can't really move. Say if the rowbooks come out, you're ready, and if you're ready and you're trying to get this into your mouth or something like this, try and get the book to move, maybe it's run out and run into some thick cover or something and you want it to come back out or something like that, you want to be kind of ready. So I've done it myself where I've had the butler in my hand when I've been holding on the rifle, and I'll show you that in a minute. But I'll have the butler in my hand or in my pocket and I'll just give it a couple of squeaks and hopefully the book will come back out again. So it's a great thing to have with you. I really would say is to get yourself a reed call, 1 or 2 reed calls, and get yourself a butler as well. They are a great call as well. Like I said earlier, I don't want to talk too much about all the sounds and doing all the presentation and how they all work and stuff, but I feel like I do need to go back onto one which I believe is really important to know, is the fawn contact sound. This one can really help you out for getting a buck to come in that is already with a doe. I know some people say that you can't call a buck in when it's with a doe, but it's not true. You can. You've just got to forget about trying to call the buck in. You call the doe in instead. So because usually the doe's had its fawn, it's probably lying out somewhere, and if you do those sounds, she will forget what interest she has in him and come to that call of the fawn, because that is her priority. So I would really recommend, say if you've done a few doe contact sounds first, and then maybe tried a few kind of aggression, kind of agony sounds, and nothing's really happened, then try and do a contact sound of the fawn. And I'll just remind you what it's like. To make the sound of the fawn contact sound with the Nordic Row, you need to bite down on the first groove, bite down quite hard, and then it's just little squeaks, just constant, about 3 I would usually do. Like that. And then you really need to be ready with the rifle, probably even more ready than if a buck's come in. And because the doe, she usually comes really fast. Like a buck will come in a bit, wait to hear the sound again, come in again. But with the fawn contact sound, the doe literally comes running in, sometimes a bit too fast, and you've really got to be still, because if she sees you, she'll run, and then maybe the buck will run with her. And you've just got to be really patient and just make sure that you move when she moves, so that she's not seeing you, and don't move if she's looking right at you, because yeah, she'll run. But I found sometimes even if she does run, the buck will come out anyway and be looking around, doesn't have a clue what's going on, and just stand there. It's brilliant when that happens, but it doesn't always happen. She might run in and he's right behind her, so I would be ready on the rifle. So I'm going to show you what I mean by being ready on the rifle now. So what I mean about being ready with the rifle is you need to be quick for taking the shot. Everything's going to happen so quickly. You need to make sure that you're doing everything to your best abilities to actually get the shot that you need. A lot of people now are using quad sticks, so these are my Viperflex sticks. They seem to be like one of the most popular ones now, and I absolutely love them. I've used them for years, and I will continue using them for years. But what I would say is, don't be ready on the sticks like this unless you 100% know where that deer is going to come from, but you can't guarantee that. They'll always come from a different direction. So I would just have the rifle on the sticks like this, just on the front, so you can move around easily and you're not having to kind of adjust yourself really awkwardly. If the bucks come in and you've got time to actually put the sticks down like so, then do it. But usually they come in so quick and close, you don't need to. Like, you can just literally just shoot straight off the front of the sticks. Another thing I need to talk about, and I've experienced this a lot when I've been guiding, is the scope. Scope needs to be down at least between 3 and 5. Do not have it on high. I've seen good bucks lost because of that in my early days when I didn't notice with the client, but ever since then I would actually look at the scope and turn it down. That's because if you do have it on, say from 8 and above, and that deer comes running in, and then you're trying to find it in the scope and you're pointing all over the place and you just can't see it, you need to have it low enough so that when you're looking, that you're just straight onto it and it's just a perfect line of sight. You're not, one thing I've seen is where they've had it on too high and they're looking at deer but all they can see is fur. It's because they come into 20-30 meters, and you want to see it nicely and through the crosshair. So I would recommend to have it on low, and if it comes out and it's at say 80 to 150 meters, something like that, then if you want to turn it up a little bit, then do it. And if you've got time to get onto the rest of the sticks, then do it. But I would recommend just to have it on low, have the sticks just on the front of the fore end, so that you can move around for any position, because you want to be able to like lift up and move, and just in case in case the bucks suddenly move from one direction. So yeah, I really do recommend to just be ready on the sticks and be prepared for everything. That's a great thing with row calling. You can think that you know what's going to happen, but sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you can have deer come right from behind you and run right past you. So yeah, like I say, be ready with the rifle. Now I want to talk about the calling times of the year. So what I mean by that is the time when the rut starts and when it kind of ends. This is different from the bottom of England to the top of Scotland. It seems like in the south of England it'll always start earlier, and it seems like when it'll just work its way up. So I know right now, as this video has been uploaded today, already roebucks are coming into the calls in England, and some places in Scotland, mainly on the east side. Where I am here, Dumfries and Galloway, usually you will have to give it another week or so till it starts. But it seems like the more warmer it is, the earlier it starts. That seems to kind of work on the weather. I found if it's hot like it is now, it might even start earlier. It might just get them going. It is quite hot now. Like I think today it's 25, which in southwest Scotland is quite high. So I wouldn't even be surprised if you tried now. You might even be able to get some to come in. But I've already spoke to people who've already got them coming in now, in England, in Yorkshire, and down in south west England. But the funny thing is with Roe is that the weather really kind of alters the rut. If it's raining, the roe can hide, and you can struggle to get them to come into call. if it's been raining for a number of weeks, you can really struggle to get them to come in. And that's one problem we've had in Proximity to Callaway, is where it rains quite a lot, so some ruts you literally don't even see it. They'll just do it in the darkness or in the woods or whatever. You try your hardest calling and just nothing happens. So weather seems to be a big part of it, so warmer the better, I've always found. I think this year the rut's going to be really good. If it stays like this, it's going to be great, and it should go on for quite a few weeks. And going on to that, it can last for quite a while, a lot longer than you think. Usually you kind of say, oh, it's about two to 3 weeks, but I've called in roebucks 4 weeks after kind of when they started coming into the call, and never presume that it's over. You always hear a lot about, oh no, this area it's all quiet now and it's over, but it might not be. Just keep trying. I've called some in the middle of August, and not just young roebucks but mature roebucks that came in nicely to the call, where I'm actually stood now. There's a few years ago I called on a really nice buck, and that was around the 12th, 13th of August. And just never presume that it's over, just keep trying. Another thing I want to talk about is the time of day of calling. By far the best is the morning, and mid-morning is what I really need to talk about. Is because early morning, so from sunrise, it can work, but I found as soon as the sun comes up and you start to get a bit of heat, that's when they'll start moving. I've found between 8 o'clock and 11 o'clock in the morning is by far the best out of the whole day. Like, there were times when we didn't even get up early in the morning to go roebuck stalking in the summer for calling them, because you were wasting our times. Because you'll end up going out, you'll be out for 4 or 5 hours, and on the way back home, that's when you start seeing deer moving around. So we used to start at, well, still now, 7:30 sometimes, and then literally stalk until lunchtime calling. Yeah, mornings are by far the best. Evenings are good as well, especially, I would say more towards last light on the evening. I think after they've been kind of running around in the morning, they have a few hours of lying around, and then they get up again when it gets a bit cooler. So yeah, a couple hours before sunset seems to be a great time as well. But like I say, by far mornings are the best. Mid-morning, they yeah, I would, if I had to pick a time of day, mid-morning. Yeah, another thing with the weather is wind. Wind can be great sometimes, and then really can affect your calling another time. The best I've found is when there's little wind, nearly no wind at all. You need the sound to be able to get far away. If you've got wind, usually you've got the wind on your face because you don't want the deer to smell you. But the problem with the wind being on your face is it's blowing the sound usually behind you, and only some of it is going in front of you. It doesn't matter how loud you're doing it. If you've got quite a strong wind, and it's usually blowing it back, but it blows it all over the place. So deer might be running out, but they might be running out all over the place where you can't get a shot on them. So the best is to have really little wind. Right now is perfect. And the great thing with that is most of the time they'll come in front of you, the deer, because if you've got a strong wind coming into your face, they might come from running behind you, and by the time they've even got behind you, they'll smell you, and then nothing will come out. You can get deer to come in strong winds, but it's difficult. You're usually calling for quite a long time to get them to come in. Like usually it only takes about 5 minutes or so for the deer to come in, most of the time. Sometimes it does take longer, but majority of the bugs I've got coming in, they're usually between 5 and 10 minutes, maybe sometimes quicker. The ones I can think of, they're literally between 3 minutes and 5 minutes they've come in, and there are days where there's no wind. So yeah, I would go out when there's no wind. If it's strong, really strong, I wouldn't even bother. It can be too hard work, and the thing is, you're educating them as well. You're getting them used to that same sound you're doing, so you need to work on the best times for it. If you need to go out every day, but that's fine. But if you can pick your times and when you can be out on what day and weather-wise, then yeah, mornings, nice and sunny, little wind, and yeah, love them coming in. One thing I want to talk about is high seats. This is something I've experienced over the years, where calling from high seats can sometimes work and sometimes not work. And what I mean by that is the height of the high seat. So on ground I've stalked on for many years, we've got a lot of the tall high seats where you're quite high up in the air, and I found even with very little wind, it must carry the sound in a strange kind of direction where the bug doesn't really know where it's coming from. I've always seemed to struggle from those kind of high seats. I've always been better when I've been on the ground, or maybe in a dough box where it's just off the ground. When I've been high up or in a ladder seat, I don't know, it's always been a bit strange. It's not worked out as well as I thought it would have done. The best I've always done is when I've been stood on the ground myself, and I know from being in a high seat, you've got a better angle, you can see more, with better shooting positions by far, but I've always struggled to get them in. I don't know why it is. I don't know, maybe someone's got an answer for it, but I've always found the sound maybe travels a bit strange when you're high up. I think they can still hear it, but I remember one roebuck I called in, and I was on from a tall high seat, and it came running out, but it really couldn't work out where it was, and it kept running around, and it was literally, I couldn't get a shot on it. I eventually did get a shot on it, but it was funny seeing its reaction. When you stood on the ground, you see them, and they kind of they will most of the time run towards you or kind of work their way around. Well, usually sometimes work around the wind to get into you, but they're usually in front of you, coming kind of at you. But this one was like kind of zigzagging all over the place, so it was a bit strange. But yeah, like I say, I've always found to be on the ground to call seems to be the best. Another thing to remember is that when you're calling, that deer is trying to find you, so you need to be in a position where you're camouflaged. I don't mean you like you see in the first video I make, I'm wearing the 3D camo. That is still a great thing to use when you're calling. You need to be hidden. If they can see you, they won't give you an inch, they will run. Or you need to use like a background, like behind me. Get into the branches of the trees. But the only problem with that is that you might not be able to get the best angle because you're kind of stuck into the trees. You want to be just stood out on the edge, just on the edge. So I would recommend to have some decent camouflage on to get blended into the background. They're trying to find you at the end of the day. So, and like if a doe comes out, they always know how to find you. And they can hear the sound, and they're just trying to pinpoint where it's coming from. So make sure that you're not stood out in the middle of a field. Make sure you are covered up. Just have a little think right before you start calling that you are kind of covered, and that you feel like you are hidden, because you don't want to lose that chance when it comes in. Say it was a big buck or something, and then it sees you. It's not the nicest feeling in the world when they spot you. So yeah, I would recommend to have some either 3D camo on or some decent camo, or get yourself blended in with the surrounding area. So yeah, like I say, don't stand in the middle of the fields. I've seen people do it and sometimes it works, but you've got to be seriously ready with a rifle. But I would be ready in camouflage and on sticks. That kind of leads me on to the type of area to be calling roebucks. There's so many ways to do it. I've done several ways of doing it. So you can be out stood on the edge of a field looking out onto the woodland, and you're trying to call them out of that woodland to come to you across the field. That's a very typical way that's done in England on the arable crop fields. But in Scotland, where you're stalking in forest, commercial forestry, they could be out in the clear fell areas where there's like replanted trees and all that kind of stuff, so they might be in there. Most of the times you want to try and not have the woodland where deer might be coming out from behind you. Try and be somewhere where you are hidden, say like with a single tree or something like that, and then you can see nearly 360 around you, because that will really improve your chances for getting one to come in. Because even if one does come from behind you, you'll see it. It's not like if you've got the woodland behind you and it comes in and you don't see it, and next minute you just hear it crashing through the trees. If you're stood on maybe like a single tree or a bush or something, and you're looking, you can see all the way around you. Even though the wind, well, there's little wind, but if there's wind and it is traveling in one direction, you never know. You might look and see the deer, but it might come across, so it's out of your scent. So I would recommend to be able to see as much as you can, so you can spot the buck when it comes out. I found this to be the best way. I really do recommend to find spots before the rut, so these single trees, bushes on your ground, where you think perfect places to get the roebucks coming in. Doing your homework before the rut is crucial. So I hope you liked this video. I hope you've maybe learned something new. I'm just trying to kind of show you guys what I've learned over the years, and I'm hoping that you all have a great roe rut. As said in the description, there is a competition at the end of this. So what I want to give away is the original roebuck call, the Nordic Row, and also the brand new Pro Roe call, plus a Nordik Predator hat. This is for 2 people. All you've got to do is like this video, subscribe, and just comment done, or comment anything about the video and then comment done at the end of it, so I know that you've entered it. Yeah, so this is for 2 people, and also 2 other people are going to get a Nordik Pro Roe call each, and it comes with lanyards as well. So I hope you've all enjoyed this video, and please subscribe if you liked it. I'm going to try and get a few more videos done in the future. So yeah, thank you, and I hope you enjoyed it.